Hi girls, gays, and theys, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. Today we're going to be talking about 11 gay books that are coming out in October that I'm very excited for, and I hope you will be as well. I have everything from October-worthy mysteries and thrillers to my typical contemporary romance and a couple fantasy thrown in as well. So without further ado, let's just hop right into the books. So in honor of October and spooky season, I'm going to start with the thriller and horror book category. And the first book I want to talk about is A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand. This book comes out on October 3rd, and in it we're returning to the world of Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Hill House. Our main character Holly has been a struggling playwright for years, but now she has received a grant in order to develop one of her plays, and she might finally be getting her big break, and all she needs is space and time to bring her vision to life. So when she stumbles across Hill House on a weekend getaway upstate, she thinks it's the perfect place to produce and rehearse her play. Despite her own hesitations, Holly's girlfriend Nisa agrees to the plan and joins Holly in renting out the house for a month. Soon, a troupe of actors, each with their own ghosts, arrive and begin to settle into the house, but the house has other plans. Strange creatures stalk the grounds, disturbing sounds echo throughout the halls, and time itself seems to shift. Holly and her friends find themselves not just at odds with one another, but also with the house itself, and it seems that something has been lying dormant in Hill House all of these years. This sounds deliciously creepy and perfect for October, and I love these thrillers and horror books where queerness is just kind of like an extra element. It's not the focus of the book. This is just a horror book with characters that happen to be sapphic, which I love. It's nice to find casual queerness in books like this, so I'm super excited for this one and definitely hoping that I can fit it into my October TBR. Next on my list is a book called The Forest Demands Its Due by Kisoko Jackson. This book comes out on October 3rd as well, and this is a genre debut as far as I can tell from Kisoko Jackson. I have read some of their adult contemporary romances to varying degrees of success in the past, but I'm super interested in this YA horror thriller. In this book, we're following our main character Douglas Jones, who really wants nothing to do with the long and storied history of the prestigious academy that he goes to. He's really just trying to survive, but then a student at the school is murdered, and for some reason the very next day no one remembers that this person even existed aside from Douglas and the groundskeeper's son Everett. But in his determination to uncover the truth, Douglas awakens a horror that has been hidden in the forest for many years, unearthing secrets that have been buried for centuries. And now there is a vengeful creature on the loose that wants blood for a payment of a debt more than 300 years in the making. So this sounds super interesting. Our protagonist Douglas is queer and black, and I believe he might have a side romance with the mentioned groundskeeper's son Everett, so that's always interesting to me. But this book sounds super interesting, super queer, super perfect for October, and I also wonder if it's not going to be kind of like paralleling these typical horror tropes with racism and privilege and all of these things that take place at these prestigious old boarding school type places. I think it will be interesting if those two facets are weaved together. I love when horror and thriller books take on the horrors of reality, and that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this book. So if I'm right, I will definitely love it, but even so, I think it just sounds like a really fun thriller for October, so I'm definitely keeping this one on my radar. Another YA fantasy / horror book that is coming out on October 3rd also is Beholder by Ryan LaSala. In this story, we're following our main character Ethan, who hasn't had an easy life. At a young age, he was orphaned by a terrible fire and has had to rely on his wit and his under-the-table job as an art handler in order to survive and support his grandmother. But Ethan also has a secret power. It's a hereditary power that allows him to rewind any reflection in a mirror, revealing its recent past. Ethan has never really used this power, as his grandmother has always warned him that it is actually a curse, and he's believed her and abided by her rule until one night he goes to a party and Ethan turns back his reflection for just a moment. After that, he hears a slam against the bathroom door, followed by a scream. Ethan peers outside only to be pushed back in by a boy around his age and told not to go out there. When Ethan finally emerges from the bathroom, he discovers an absolute massacre where the victims have appeared to arrange themselves in a disturbingly elegant sculpture, and Ethan's savior is nowhere to be found. Something evil is compelling people to dangerous acts, and it's a presence that's been hiding behind Ethan's reflection his entire life, biding its time, and soon Ethan is swept up in a conspiracy that spans all of New York and may just be deadly. The description of this book sounds amazing. I've had The Honeys by Ryan LaSala on my shelf since it came out almost 2 years years ago, and I've been like really desperately wanting to read it. It's in my 5-star predictions for the year. I need to get to it for sure. This new book by Ryan has just inspired me more to pick up The Honey so that I can then pick this one up. I don't think they're related. You don't have to read them in order, but I do want to read both of them. They both sound perfectly spooky for the October season. This one sounds so interesting and unique and unlike anything I've ever heard before, almost combining like fantasy and magic with a horror/thriller, so I definitely am interested in picking this one up. And the last mystery thriller on my list is And Don't Look Back by Rebecca Barrow, and this book also comes out on October 3rd. All the thrillers and horror books are coming out early in the month so that everyone can read them before Halloween, I would assume. This is another YA, if I didn't say that already, and in it we're following our main character Harlow. And in the very beginning of the book, Harlow and her mom set off on a 3 a.m. escape. There's something that Harlow's mother has been running from her entire life, so she's kind of spent her whole life running from one place to another with different identities formed for them each time. And this escape is just another one in a series of escapes in Harlow's life. But this one is different because they're actually involved in a terrible car accident and Harlow's mom passes away. But before she dies, she tells Harlow 2 things. 1, where to find a key for a safety deposit box, and 2, to never stop running. Harlow ends up finding the safety deposit box and everything that's included in it. There's supplies to keep running, some money, insurance documents, fake IDs, but there are also clues to what Harlow's mom might be running from, including old pictures of her and a handful of newspaper clippings that detail the disappearance of a woman named Eve Kennedy, who is Harlow's grandmother. Harlow then realizes that she has 2 choices. She can either continue to flee the ghosts that haunt her mother's past, or she can confront this nebulous threat that's been hanging over her life, her mother's life, her grandmother's life, so that maybe she can finally stop running. So this sounds super interesting and unique, and I have read another book by Rebecca Barrow in the past. It was not a thriller, it was a YA contemporary, but it was so good. The writing was immaculate, so I can't imagine this would be any different, and I definitely want to keep a lookout for this one because I think I would really enjoy it. Alright, those are all the thriller horror books I have on my TBR, and now let's jump into all the contemporary romances I have. The first of which is Love at 350 Degrees by Lisa Pierce. This book comes out on October 10th and is an adult contemporary romance. In particular, it is a sapphic romance that involves cooking, so aka right up my alley. In the story, we're following our main character, Toni Moore, who is a recently single mother of 2 teenagers, an avid baker, and she really wants to open her own bakery one day. So at the insistence of her twin teenagers, she decides to enter a cooking competition wherein the prize money would help her to open this bakery that she dreams of. But once on set, Tori catches the eye of Kendra, who is one of the judges of the show, and Tori is drawn to the uncompromising way Kendra moves through the world and senses a tenderness underneath her rough exterior. And she and Kendra find it increasingly hard to keep their distance over the 6 weeks of the cooking competition show. And for them both, it might be that love is the best prize of all, which is so cute. I feel like I do kind of have a love-hate relationship with cooking romance books because I want them to work out so bad every time I read them because I just love them. I just expect amazingness from queer romance combined with cooking because 2 of my favorite things in the world, hello. And some have let me down a little bit, but I have high hopes for this one. I think this one's gonna be a winner. Next on my list is Stars in Your Eyes by Case and Callender. This book also comes out on October 10th, and Case and Callender is a favorite author of mine. I've read some of their books before. Loved them. I don't know that I've read an adult romance by them yet, so I'm excited for this one. This is basically a celebrity, fake dating, enemies to lovers, Grumpy Sunshine romance. So all the best tropes, obviously. We're following our main characters, Logan and Maddie, and Logan is Hollywood's bad boy. He is a talented but troubled actor who the public loves to hate, and Maddie is an up-and-coming golden retriever, golden boy type, and he is adored by all but plagued by insecurities. The 2 are cast opposite in a new rom-com, and Logan claims that Maddie has 0 talent, which causes the film's publicity to go into a nosedive. So their team is like, yo, this is not gonna work, you guys have to like each other. So they persuade them into a fake dating scheme, and of course we know what happens when fake dating is involved. Real feelings start to develop. This sounds super cute. I believe in Case and Callender and their writing talent, and I believe that they can really make something wonderful out of this foundation. So super excited to check this one out and really feel like this is going to be a good one. Next on my list is I'm Your Guy by Serena Bowen. This book comes out on October 10th, and I believe it's a companion book in a new hockey series that she's writing. I talked about the first book in another one of these videos. I haven't read it yet, but I do believe that this is the second book in a companion series. I think you can read them separately though, but just want to warn you. just so we're all aware and all on the same page. But this is a male-male sports, i.e. hockey romance, and in it we're following our two main characters, Tommaso and Carter. And Tommaso is a hockey player, and I believe he just recently bought an apartment and he needs to furnish it, but he really has no idea what to do when it comes to furnishing and designing an apartment, and so he hires Carter to do so for him. And Carter really needs this gig, but at first he does not realize that his client is a famous hockey star and doesn't understand why he's throwing out so many mixed signals, because he can tell that Tommaso is attracted to him but won't fess up to it, and Carter is going crazy, not knowing what to do about it. So these two will get together throughout the course of the story, I am sure, and it sounds like it could be funny and like with oblivious characters and the miscommunication trope thrown in there perhaps. So it sounds cute and fun. Serena Bowen is a classic in the hockey romance genre. There's no way that this couldn't be amazing. Next on my list is, I guess, probably contemporary, kind of dark romance, a little bit of fantasy, but mostly contemporary, so I'm gonna talk about it in this category. I also talked about it in my last installment of this video, but it did get pushed to October and not released in September, so we're talking about it again, and that is The Bone Collector by Only James. This book is now coming out on October 12th, and it is book number 1 in the Watch series, which is a new series by Only, which is a spin-off of the Necessary Evil series and one of my favorite MMKU romance series. This series is going to be set at a school for psychopathic assassins where they're trained to take out the bad guys. And in it, we're following our main characters, Park and Gift. Now, Park is a teacher at this school. He has spent most of his life as a deadly killer known as the Bone Collector, but now he's been benched, reassigned to work at the school to train the next generation of assassins. And he has also promised his friends that he will keep Gift, a student at the school, safe. Gift, despite his name, does not have a gift for killing people or assassination, but he has to prove himself at this school, and he has also been in love with Park for a very long time. He's of age. It's like a college. So don't worry about that. But Gift has been fantasizing about Park for years and is going to use every weapon in his arsenal to seduce Park and get him to fall in love with him. So this book sounds cute. I like a good age gap teacher-student in fantasy, not in practice romance. So this sounds fun, and I love Only, so I will definitely be reading this one this month. The next two are probably the two I'm like most excited about on this whole list. The first of which is 10 Things That Never Happened by Alexis Hall. This book comes out on October 17th and is a new adult contemporary romance from Alexis. And the tropes include fake amnesia, enemies to lovers, and grumpy sunshine, which sounds amazing just from that, but I'll give you a rundown of the plot still. We're mostly following our main character, Sam, and Sam pretty much likes his job managing a bed and bath retailer, but it's too bad that the owner is an infuriating git. The owner's name is Jonathan, and Jonathan believes that he never should have hired Sam. It was a sentimental decision, and determined to set things right, Jonathan calls Sam in for a meeting to his office in London, but on the way there, Sam is panicking, trips and bumps his head, and maybe accidentally implies that he doesn't remember anything at all. So faking amnesia seemed like a good idea when Sam was afraid that he was going to get fired, but now he has to deal with the reality of Jonathan's guilt, as well as the unsettling fact that his surly boss might have a softer side to him, and there's an unexpected freedom at getting a second shot at a first impression. But as Sam and Jonathan grow closer, can Sam really bring himself to tell him the truth, or will their future be built entirely on one impulsive lie? I think this sounds so funny, and the last Alexis Hall I read wasn't my favorite, but I really think that this one is going to get me back on track with loving his writing, because this sounds so funny and it sounds like the perfect scenario that Alexis Hall can bring their magical writing and humor to. So I'm very excited to get my hands on this one later on in the month. And the next book that I'm so super excited for is Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake. This book comes out on October 24th, and I'm so excited for this third and final installment in the Bright Falls series. This is a series of adult sapphic romances by Ashley Herring Blake, who's one of my favorite authors. And I'm actually going to a signing for her in this book later this month, so I'm so excited for that. I cannot wait. And this is the one that I've been anticipating the most because Iris has been my favorite character from the beginning, so I'm so excited to finally get her romance. The tropes in this book include a one-night stand, a bad first impression, and fake dating, so all fun things. Basically, as I mentioned already, we're following Iris in this book, and everyone around Iris is in love. Her best friends, her sisters, and her parents are still in marital bliss. Everyone's coupled up, and she's really happy for them all truly, but they're all a little bit too busy and too happy to truly realize that Iris is kind of spiraling. She does have a brand new career as a romance novelist, but after spending all of her romantic energy on her debut, she is fresh out of ideas. So ignoring all of her problems, Iris goes out to a bar in Portland and meets a sexy stranger and has one of the worst one-night stands ever. She really just wants to put the experience aside, never think of it again, but then she runs into the woman whom she had this one-night stand with again, agrees to be her fake girlfriend, so she'll be seeing a lot of her. Hey, maybe if nothing else, Iris will get some new ideas for her new romantic comedy. Who knows? But hopefully they fall in love. This book sounds so fun and cute and so funny, and I'm really excited to see how Ashley Herring like handles this trope. Like, I don't think I've ever read a book where somebody has had a really bad like first impression, first hookup, like one night stand, and like wanted nothing to do with the person afterwards, but then come back together. I think that sounds so interesting and a funny concept, so I can't wait to get my hands on this book. I know I'm gonna love it just as much as I loved the first two in the series. And then last but certainly not least, a new Tavia Lark book is coming out in October. If you know me, you know I love Tavia Lark. She's one of my favorite KU authors, if not my, well, it's so hard to like actually claim a favorite KU author, but I think Lily Mayne and Tavia Lark are like pretty neck and neck up there, if I'm being honest. And this book comes out the very last day of October on the 31st, and it's technically fantasy, so this is technically a new section, but this is the only book in this section, okay? Anyway, this is the 5th book in the Perilous Court series, and the tropes include arranged marriage and a little bit of light dom sub, as her books usually do. And in this book, we're following Sai, who has always known that his power isn't truly his. So in this world, he is what's called a grail, meaning he can't use his own magic, his own like reserves of magic. He serves another mage by augmenting their magic. So Sai has always like been known that that's what they are, that's what their fate is to serve someone else. Sai has been honestly looking forward to his betrothal with equal parts excitement and trepidation, but it's his only chance to fulfill his true purpose as a treasured and valuable resource. There's only one problem, and that is that Sai's new betrothed is a legendary Merrick Dyer. Merrick is a prince that we met in the last book. He's like the adopted brother of the protagonist from the 4th book. He is a dragon riding Draskoran prince. Merrick achieves everything he can on his own strength. His dragon is the only combat partner that he needs. Merrick definitely has no interest in using his new betrothed as a grail. He sees it as kind of like a horrible, enslaving thing to do, no matter how much Sai wants to be used. So you can see probably where this is going. I think this sounds super interesting. I think Sai was actually supposed to be betrothed to one of the protagonists from the 4th book, but the two love interests in the 4th book got together, so Sai is now partnered with Merrick, the brother. So I am really interested. I love an arranged marriage trope, so I'm super excited for this book, and I think it will be super interesting. Grails have kind of been something that's been talked about a lot in Tavia Lark's world, so I'm excited to actually finally get a character who is a grail and to see like how they view themselves, how they think of it. It is kind of a weird thing for someone to have like complete control and power over someone else. It's one thing to have that dynamic like in a smut scene, another dynamic to have that in like a outside the bedroom. So I'm excited to see where Tavia Lark takes this one, and I'm sure it will be amazing, and I'm sure I will probably binge it on Halloween. So that's what I'll be doing on the 31st if you're curious. All right, and those are all the gay books that are coming out in October that I am excited for. If I missed any that you're excited for, please let me know in the comments down below. I might just like not know about them, and I would love to hear about them from you. If you have anything else that you would like me to know or you want to just chat, feel free to leave a comment. It does help support my channel and this video. Other free ways to support me are by hitting that subscribe button and liking the video. And if you are interested in any of the books that I talked about today, I always link the books I talk about in my videos using Amazon affiliate links in the description down below. That is a way that at no extra cost to you supporting my channel. I get a tiny little commission. It's not much. It does help though. Every little bit helps. Don't feel obligated though. That's just there if you are interested. You can also follow me on social media. Those links are down below as well. And I think that is all for me today. So thank you so much for being here and watching this video. I really appreciate you doing so, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.